Shooting, but even more importantly is that game is called Biomutant for a reason, because you'll be able to mutate your character.
Oh, so you're getting new feats, new perks, new arm, something like that?
Crab pinchers on your back, huge mutated tail, but we also have what I call X-Men mutations. So you're able to levitate, telegonize people, shoot rays from your eyes.
Do you have claws?
You can.
Oh!
Whoa.
I'm hyped for that.
So where does the environment, where does this take place?
Yeah, so our take on post-apocalyptic, we don't have a nuclear bomb disaster. So it's more about the environment and a catastrophe in the environment, so a natural environment disaster. We have something called dead oil emerging from the Earth's core, seeping through the crust of the Earth and contaminating the world. So in our version of this, there's the game on the open world is centered by the tree of life that is currently dying. And you have the choice to try to heal it or not. Otherwise, the game will end with the world dying anyways. But you might want to play like that.
Okay, we'll see the customization of the character right now. You can do whatever you want with this. Holy moly!
My goodness.
It's an RPG, right? You saw the stats on the right-hand side. So as you change your genetic structure, it also affects the stats. So you want to play as a big character, you get more health, you're more resilient, but maybe a little bit slower. If you really want to be small, fast, and agile, yeah, that will also affect your stats.
Okay, so how long is the gameplay planned for?
Ooh, it's a tricky question. It's an open world game, so let me give like the political answer of at least 10 hours.
Okay.
But it's probably going to be longer.
So, is there like a main boss in the game? I'm sure it is, and he's big and mutated and has like 8 arms and so on.
Yeah, I mean, the main bosses, if you really want to call them like that, is at the end of each of the 5 roots, emerging, stretching out of the world from the Tree of Life. There's this big creature gnawing at that root.
I see some influence from comic books, like with the raw, right? It's very comic book-like.
It's just, again, we're showing you the free flow here. So you see the we're just using the face buttons. So in a normal like third-person shooter, you're usually using the trigger and you're aiming. So we're trying to get this free flow by jumping and shooting, immediately switching to melee, dodging, rolling and shooting, and immediately switching to melee. So it's really up to you how you use this creative toolbox of kung fu moves. And obviously, as you progress through the game, you will be able to learn more moves, both by getting level up points and assigning them and unlocking moves, but also you will need the kung fu masters out in the world.
I'm really curious about your main character. Like, who is this? Like, I am just so curious. Like, how can you tell us a little bit more about our, protagonist?
Without revealing too much. So, at the beginning of the game, you don't really know anything about who you are. And
okay. I kind of like that. So it's a self-discovery.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things that will play into your personal end game, because that's what we want to try to do. And it's not like we have 3 cutscenes and you get the red or blue one, but we're going to try to do a personalized ending. But I want to go back to your question. So, in this world, there's only one meat eater. And you saw that big bad wolf at the beginning. He's the single meat eater in the game. So everyone else, they are mammals, so they eat fruits, vegetables. And this might sound silly, but it actually has a meaning in the game. So this wolf, he will be a reoccurring character in the game. You will meet him several times. And at the end, you will also start finding out who you are and why you are here, and also a little bit about your background, where you came from.
Okay, so that's
and I can't mention more.
No spoilers. This is just my job. I got to ask you questions, and the people in the chat want to know.
And there's a lot of component to that. We have a storyteller. So the only speaking character in the game is the storyteller. And all of the other ones, they are mutated animals, so they speak mumbo jumbo, and he interprets what they are saying.
Mutant jumbo.
All right, that's actually awesome.
Wait, what is that? What is he like? Is he like Whoa.
Yeah, he's shooting electrical bullets there, and you will see the effect of that there when they're shaking their teeth. And this big guy is actually quite dangerous. So when you see oil in our game, it's always dangerous. So this guy is actually going to try to grab you and drown you in that oil over there. So you better be careful.
He looks like a very huge squirrel or like an ape.
I mean, he looks like all, fuzzy and cute for the most part, but then you look at his face and outfit.
Yeah, he has covered his face because he was emerging from the oil, so you can see a little bit of his gear there.
Oh, wow.
He's like a scuba diver.
Look at him.
All right. Well, the game is,
cool.
I'm assuming it's for PC. But also probably some consoles?
It's primarily on console. So PS4, Xbox One, and also on PC, yes.
All right, awesome. What's the plan for the release date?
Next year.
Wow.
Okay.
So very soon.
How far are you in development of the game?
Yeah, I mean, we're in a pretty good state. We will end with a little bit of a glimpse of the open world, because this is mainly showing parts of the demo that is playable here at Gamescom. So we are quite far, I would say, but there's always, you know, in game development, a lot of things we want to do.
Sure.
So we just have to gauge like how much of the crazy ideas we have, we actually put in the game. And by crazy ideas, you will see at the end a little bit about what I mean by that. Because a lot of people has, you know, they're actually agreeing with us when we say the game is weird in a good way.
I like the style. It's like a comic book, a moving comic book, basically, right? The graphics are complementing that as well, so that's really cool to see. When it comes to the main character, right? I see.
Sorry.
Wow,
I mean, when I see that,
for you.
anytime I see Bao, I have to just pow. I mean, that's cool. I like the comic book little sequences popping out the bubbles. It's really cool.
So what I wanted to ask is, the main character has a sword, right? Is it like his personal, like, you know, weapon, or can you change that? You have different weapons.
Yeah, it's funny that you asked that right now, because when you enter that door, you will see a little bit of our crafting. And for the demo, we actually ask you to use a crafting bench, but in the real game, you can craft at any point. So you start out with this sword, but you can create, and we will see an example of this, really a creative way of customizing any melee weapon. So two-handed, two single-handed, dual wield, and you can put a lot of stuff on this. And one thing you can do is put modules onto these weapons that will give them like frost powers or biocontaminated powers that if you hit an enemy with that, you will start to barf.
That's really awesome. Like, everyone loves customization option, right?
Yeah.
So this is like.
So same thing goes for the range. What he just did there is like a body that dictates if it is a shotgun type of gun or assault rifle type of gun. You can also dual wield, one two-handed, and obviously he wears the stuff that you just crafted. And then again, when you go out into combat, you're free to mix and match those. So here's actually as an example of that module. So he's picking up a frost module here. And this example, you see it's actually mounted to the gun. But you can at any point choose to mount it on a melee weapon instead. You can craft these, you can craft bigger ones. So it's a tactical choice in addition to your creative toolbox for combat and engaging enemies.
Okay. And what are these insects that's following? I'm sorry, I am very distracted by these really cute little things, but maybe not cute. I don't know. What is that?
Yeah, he's your main sidekick in the game, in the open world game.
No way.
So in the demo, he doesn't play a major role here in the playable demo, but in the real game, he has a significant role. So he's your automaton scrap toy that will follow you through the game. He speaks a little bit of blip-block. Sometimes the narrator will actually tell you what he's saying too. And as you find cool places in the world, he might start to tell you about them and to give quests in relation to where you are in the world.
Does he actually help you in any combat situations?
That's not his job.
Okay, but I'm just making sure because I freak out. I'm like, get out of the way! I'm trying to do something. Like,
yeah,
don't die, little guy.
Like characters like this is a key character. You have to help and defend them.
All right.
But I will give you one thing with the cricket. You can actually modify it. I didn't say this before.
Right.
Yeah, so you can actually change the way that it looks. So you can make
Was that one of the goals? Was to make sure that things were, you know, that the player could feel really in control and modify things?
I love video games. So I think like when I want a linear story, I love going to the movies. But video games really want to go back and bring the fun factor into our games. So we don't take ourselves too serious, but we just focus on enabling the player to do cool shit.
Well, that's actually pretty cool. I mean, when I'm playing an RPG, I'm spending like an hour or 2 hours on creating my character, right? And this game is basically like, you know what, we love that as well, and we're gonna just make an entire game about that. It's pretty cool because you can switch around like whatever you want during the game, right? The customization options are crazy. I like that. Or the weapons. I mean, I'm assuming you have hundreds of combinations.
I think we did a math calc on the ranged weapon combination. It's about 500,000.
Oh my God.
What? Yeah. And are you going to be adding more? Or is this just something?
I think 500,000 is enough. If they all make sense, I leave it to the player. Oh, here's a good thing. You see that's glitter grass.
Okay.
And these small critters called nonos, they're hiding in glitter grass that you find in the open world. And they are essentially for healing the roots of the tree of life. So you can actually then affect your personal ending by healing the Tree of Life. Here's an example that this old guy gives you on how it will work on his miniature pensai plant. But it's for the huge tree in the open world. So if you lead nonos to heal the root, then your chance of world survivor, a percentage score, actually increases. And at the end of the game, we will roll that. So if you have 30%, you have a third of a chance to get that ending. But you can heal it up to 100%, and then you're sure you're going to get that world survival ending. So or if you want to play as bad, you don't have to do that. Then you will have the really bad ending.
So you're crafting your own destiny, basically.
That's a good way of saying it. Maybe I'll use that.
Yes, trademark that quick.
Yeah, so here we are actually seeing like coming towards the end of the playable demo, so it's about 25 minutes in, and I would say that this marks the start of the actual game. So we're opening up a 4x4 kilometer open world for you to discover. So
what is this world here called?
Oh, wow. Yeah, we don't have a name for it, but it's quite varied, and there's a lot of characters in it. So here we'll give you a glimpse of what you will do most of the time.
That was Cerberus, though. He had 3 heads. That was insane.
That was really good. So that is an example of a bot.
We're running this video. I'm sorry about that.
It's working. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah, so the big thing here is like the visual look is in tandem with the attributes. So you see on the left-hand side here, you have kind of this DNA wheel. So there's 5 corners: strength, attributes, for example, intelligence, vitality, that's your health region. So they all, if you see on the right-hand side, they own certain statistics. But that's in tandem then with the look of your character. So not only do you change the visual look, but it also change the stats related to that look. So a big head, you get smart.
Funny that.
Yeah, and smartness is used then to psionic abilities, for example. So it gives you more powerful mental abilities, your kind of X-Men abilities. Because we don't only have biomutations, that are the physical ones, we also have the mental X-Men style abilities. So you also, as you can see, have full control over your fur style, all the coloring, etc. So we have, it's not only about the stats, it's also about personalizing your look. You can also play as female, which is very interesting.
That's good, I like that, Korean girl myself.
So, and later on in the game, you can actually recode your DNA again and change it, and obviously you can also upgrade your stats. It's a full-blown RPG in the background, so you can use your level up points to assign to different attribute groups.
Yeah.
You talked about that. It's 500,000 possible combinations the first year that we did that. So as you see here, this is from the demo, we're just randomizing weapon parts, just to give you an idea of what combinations are kind of possible. But in the real game, you're actually putting together all of these bits yourself. So in terms of combinations, each weapon type determines kind of the way that a weapon shoots. So you can have shotgun style, assault rifle style, revolver style. You can have a single-handed weapon, dual wield, 2 single-handed, but you can also wear a 2-handed weapon, right? All of the bits come in different materials, they come in different qualities, and you can also add affixes to it. And affix is like, for example, a cryogenic module that will now enable the weapon to shoot frost bullets, for example. Another thing with our game is that you are not grinding for ammunition. We wanted you to be able to have that free-flowing style of being able to shoot almost at any time you want. The way that we control that, or give you the opportunity to actually upgrade the weapon, is by the size of the clips. So the bigger size, the more bullets you can fire before you go out of ammo, and you have a short period of cooldown, which also varies then from bit to bit. So that's ranged weapons.
Nice.
We also have melee weapons.
Hit things real hard, of course you do.
And same thing goes here. There's different types of melee weapons, so hack, slash, pierce, crush. Same thing here.
Ouch.
A single-handed, 2 single-handed dual wielding, or like this one, it's a 2-handed weapon. Again, here you see a biocontaminated affix, so that affix will make enemies puke, and it also they take damage over time. So you get a little bit more time window to actually take them out. Same thing goes for them. They are existing in different qualities, different materials, and also then put the modules on that. So there's quite a lot to, player creativity, player freedom here to create their own variants of weapons.
That's great, that's amazing.
Yeah. There's a couple of different ways to get mutations. So biomutations are obviously a natural next
game,
step,
right?
because the game is called Biomutant. So there's these pools spread out across the open world. So you can find them, and that's where you can actually unlock, upgrade, and gain new physical mutations, hence biomutations. In order to do that, you have to have biopoints, and you get them by defeating these infected, biocontaminated creatures called morks. For each mork you defeat, you get a biopoint, but also they're quite dangerous because they're contaminated and they infect you. So types of mutations you will get, like big crab pinchers on your back. You'll be able to pinch people. lift them up, throw them away. But you can also get like a mutated shoulder that you can reflect bullets on enemies if they shoot at you. And there's quite a few of them that you can mix into your arsenal of creative combat, but also traversal. The other strain of mutations is what we call psionic mutations. So your X-Men mutations. You gain those, upgrade, unlock those by finding bunkers beneath the world, surface of the world, where it's old radioactive broken down machines. So kind of Bruce Banner going, and the Hulk.
Hulking
so
out.
you can see here the poor character is being exposed to radioactivity.
It's a little bit painful.
Yeah, I'm looping it here also, so it becomes more extreme.
Yeah.
But that's how you unlock those type of X-Men type of abilities. I want to show you a few of these. Like, so this is kind of a bubble, a mental sphere, but in our game it's not a force field, it's more like a soap bubble or a gel bubble. And again, you see that they're shooting at him, it's reflecting bullets, but what happens if you mix that with an ability, for example, like this one, levitate. So now you are levitating inside that gel bubble.
Amazing.
So what happens if you land? I'll leave that to you to figure it out.
Bad things happen to the people you're fighting, I assume?
Maybe you're bouncing.
Oh yeah, that's
you know, so again, we're trying to figure out whimsical, cool ways for the player to explore and mix and match things. Here's another then, telekinesis, also an X-Men type of ability.
Yes, gold Jean Grey, definitely.
You can lift different things, let it up to the player to figure out what you can lift and how you can combine that with the other powers in the game. I would like to touch on the third leg of this, even if people don't have 3 legs, but animals work on 4, so maybe that's cool. So it's bionics, so it's like prosthetic and enhancements to the character. And they're a mix between things that you can use in combat, as we see in this video as well. Later on, I'll show you that, sorry. And then this video is more about exploration. I saw the bow, that's what I was reacting to that. But in this clip, I'm actually showing you how you can use the bionic bow for traversal. So I'm shooting an arrow into the mountainside, and I think this is the only game I know where you actually can grab the arrow after you shoot it and follow it through the air.
That's Legolas stuff right there.
That I'm doing here. Levitate, because here it's actually using as an area of effect damage type of thing. And obviously power fist.
Definitely.
Why not?
You've got to be able to hit things super hard.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're trying to give you as much as possible. So we're talking about different biomes, so we haven't shown a lot of those biomes. There's currently 7 different, like distinctly different looking areas in the world, and you saw a glimpse of the first one here in the background of this furry creature. They all have kind of different creatures, different type of enemies, and also the key characters that you can meet in the world, there's a number of them, are also obviously then spread out across the world. We also see that in this video that we have a dynamic weather system, but also seasonal system. And this is not only just visual, you see he's running across the ice here, and again, traversing the world. This is one way that we're gating you. So for example, it becomes cold, right? What happens to water? So before, you see that he can't really swim. You see in one of these clips here, he's sprawling like a dog.
Yeah.
So you can swim for shorter stretches, but what happens when the water freezes? So maybe you then can access other areas of the world that you couldn't before. We also see he's running from oil here. So part of the story in the world is that it's, like I said, it's currently being going under, right?
How can something as beautiful as this be dying? A plague is ruining the land, but the tree of life still stands. Question is, for how long? End is coming to the new world. The tribes stand divided, in need of someone strong enough to unite them or bring them all down. This is a story with an unusual beginning, so let's expect an unusual end.
That, as an opening, is so cool.
It's strong, isn't it? It is strong.
Again, this is pre-alpha. This is really early gameplay. The fact that they've basically gave us the build is incredible.
Yes.
But for that reason, it is not.
Choose your gender.
It's not anywhere near finished.
No, exactly. It's not representative, but we're going to get a good look at what Biomutant's all about. So let's start with what we're doing on screen right now.
I love this bit. So it's character customization,
yes,
which, you know, every good game has. This one is particularly clever. So this is us sort of designing how we look.
Yeah, and it doesn't work exactly as you'd expect. I mean, there's that, you've got that kind of like circular graph that you can see on the left, but it's also like sectioned off, and not everything moves exactly as you want. It's quite easy to, it's kind of quite random. And I think rather than necessarily building exactly what you want, you more sort of like fiddle about until you find something you like, which for me personally, I prefer, because I find character creation incredibly stressful.
Choose your first
the best part? Like, it's
I'm
the
stressed
best
out.
part.
I'm stressed out by it because I want to make this amazing character, and I'm not like a game developer. You know, I'm not an artist. I don't think I know what I'm doing.
you are an artist.
Oh, bless you. Bless you. I'll give you that $5 later.
I mean, you've clearly created something beautiful. So yeah, we were able to choose our fur length, like a pattern for the fur.
Yeah, I mean,
PlayStation Blue.
We decided to go PlayStation Blue. It just seemed to make sense. Not with orange spots. You get to change the color of the spots momentarily. But yeah, you can see that you've got the fur length, you've got to change the color. And well, with the whole body shape and everything. And you can see they've given you the numbers in case you need to recreate it. I don't know, or you want to tell your friend, like, what color are you? I'm 138.4. Well, that's so, because
there is obviously PlayStation's Blue is a very specific.
Yeah, I'll say right now, I'm not certain that is PlayStation's Blue. So I don't want to get in any trouble. So we made a couple of characters. We had 2 run-throughs. You can see, you're going to see a bit of both of them. So what is the backstory to Biomutant?
Okay, so we're in a post-apocalyptic world, and it's not like a bomb went off. It's like oil has seeped through, and everything is dying.
So that explains the floor right here, because it's quite dark. Like, we're in like a forest or something, but you can see it's quite oily.
Yes.
And we've obviously straight away, the first thing I had to do was make a choice, and there's some sort of karma system.
Yes. So interestingly, obviously Dave has got hands-on with the game, but I'm sort of the one that saw the presentation, which is why the 2 of us are doing this. So it has a karma system, and it's a very easy to understand karma system. I'd call it the red and blue system.
Oh, it's literally like a black and white, sort of yin and yang kind of a thing.
-10 or +10. And this does affect the story, because your karma will affect how people see you, the options you have when you are talking to people.
Okay.
And of course, because the ending is very open. So for example, there are 6 tribes, and you can choose to unite them or destroy them. You can choose to become some scary big boss. And again, all your karma has an effect on all of this.
So what is this game? Like, if we break it right down, it's kind of an open world adventure with kind of like, it's quite in-depth combat.
Rob said Devil May Cry combat.
Devil May Cry combat, that's what I was looking for. It's like, is about combinations, is about, you know, it's not just like your attack is square. As I think you will have seen in that sort of tutorial section, there are loads of different button combinations. All the moves have names, so I think you can chain them together. You know, you can knock people up into the air so that you can do more damage to them. Like, the combat is actually very, very deep.
Yeah.
The part of the game that we played is quite linear, because it's the very opening, certainly of this build anyway. So
this is a special piece of code that has been made for presentations.
Right,
this
for
is
presentations.
So this part of the game is what me and Rob saw at Gamescom.
Right.
In fact, anyone who saw this at Gamescom as a member of the press, this is the section they saw and said, this is just us playing it and doing it our way.
But if you have seen the trailer, or you might even see some at the end of this video, it's actually a huge open world. So you might not get it from this video that we've played, that we've put together, but the game is actually opens up into a huge open world.
4x4 kilometers above ground, doesn't include the underground.
Did you say 4x4 kilometers?
4x4 kilometers. I watched my old video back.
Wow.
I also have it written down.
And the's loads of terrain. You know, there's loads of environments. Like there's a desert. There's like sort of tundra. Yeah. There's lush forest and stuff. So it's a really interesting game. In fact, I think you maybe described it as Jak and Daxter meets Horizon.
Yes.
Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
Which is a combination that I didn't know I wanted until I heard about it.
Exactly.
Until I was told that. I was like, yeah, that sounds amazing.
So our main character doesn't talk. Those watching now, you'll hear a narrator. And it's the narrator that sort of gives you the story. So if you pick something up, it'll be like, and then he picked up the sword. But as with your things like your karma, that can also affect the way the narrator speaks, so it's quite dynamic to what you're doing and how you're doing it.
I really liked it, actually. You'll see in a bit, we get into a conversation, and the narrator kind of describes the character's feelings about what's going on as well. It's sort of like his inner thoughts, almost. It's a really clever system. You will have just seen that we picked up some ammo.
Yep.
And this is like what we're about to see, or not actually, are we about to see it? Not quite yet. So I've got some ammo that's like, you know, there are different kind of powers, like lightning power, or, I mean, just talking about the ammo, there are different kinds of, what's the elements that I'm looking at? Elemental damage. So right now I've got sort of electric, but I know there's radiation as well. I'm sure there are others. What we're doing here is scavenging for loot, which is going to be really important because you can use all this stuff to make weapons and armor, which is a big part of the game,
It's a
actually.
huge part.
So Nath here, Nath made this video. He wanted to zoom in on our new helmet there.
Was that all that was? That was just Nathan zooming in on the helmet?
That's what he wanted to do.
Fine,
yeah,
whatever
that
makes
was
him
his
happy.
thing. He was interested in that.
So the game itself there's a tree of life, and the tree of life is dying. And if the tree of life dies, so does humanity. So you need to cure its roots. Now, by playing the game and doing the quests, you will start to cure the roots of the tree of life. And every time you successfully cure one of the roots, the percentage chance of you saving humanity at the end of the game increases. So, for example, if you only have a 10% chance of saving humanity because you've only cured a tiny part of the roots, at the end of the game will literally RNG on whether or not you've saved humanity.
Oh, so you can still do it?
You can still do it.
Right.
The more of the tree of life that you cure, the better the percentage that you'll actually save humanity.
But you can still lose.
But you can still lose.
Oh, man.
And the story's also open. So, for example, if you've played it and you've been a complete ass the whole time, and you have low karma, you'll get, a different ending than if you played it and had good karma.
That's pretty interesting. That's a really interesting idea, actually, because you're used to making all the right decisions and getting the good ending. The idea that you can do your best to heal the tree of life and still lose is kind of interesting. Or do your work, not really care about it, but still, actually, it comes good. It's kind of an interesting idea that I'm really interested in. So yeah, we're seeing some more combat, and I think we might have seen the first of a couple of powers. So your character has several powers which you can use. I think we've seen the first one, which is kind of like it's that one there, which is like a confusion power, which can turn enemies against each other. They turn them to your side. I don't know that they're necessarily on your side, actually, but they definitely turn against their friends. And which is really good for just disrupting, because they do get quite together. There's quite large numbers of them, so you can turn those against them. That's the first power that we've learned. You can see I've got a dodge now, which I'm using incredibly badly. This guy in the middle, he's not actually too difficult to kill, but I decided to go for the ads first, which was maybe a mistake.
I always go for the ads first, because I just want to be able to concentrate on the boss.
I thought I could easily, outmaneuver his barrel throws, but actually he was surprisingly accurate with them, or I was surprisingly bad. I'm not sure. He's staggered here. Yeah, I know. I'll let you decide for yourselves. He's dead here, so that's good. And I like this nice. You get this nice slow-mo finisher, which is pretty cool.
So there's two types of powers. There's bio and there's psi.
I didn't know that.
So bio is physical and psi is a bit like X-Men powers.
We're going to see another one of them here. So I'm going to gain another one, which is an electric shock.
Yes.
So you get a little. Actually, no, I'm not. This is one of the psi powers, I guess. This is telekinesis. So you can pick things up and throw it into other stuff, just do damage to it, which is useful. It's not just enemies, you can also use it on, like barrels and inanimate objects and things like that.
This guy's like ragdolling in the air, like,
I know. He didn't have a chance, did he?
Nope.
He was not expecting. There's that slow-mo again, which is super cool.
Again, for anyone who's tuning in, this is us. We played this, literally we made this video yesterday. It is Dave playing, which is why we're not playing it live. The game is very early in development. It's great that we got code, but because of that, we can't play it live. It is pre-alpha. This is a special build made for showing at events. So
you can tell it's me playing because I'm not that good.
I will say the guy who did demo it from the studio when I saw it at Gamescom did do really well.
He did better. Well, the developer did better, Holly. That's what you're telling me.
Well, yeah.
Well, okay, that's fair enough. So different kinds of enemies here, like another big guy, but he had a shield. You have to break the shield before you can do any damage. I don't think he can succumb to any of your powers until you've taken down his shield, which makes sense. I think you can shoot these barrels. You can actually, you can see it sort of auto-locked on. I should explain that there's a ranged attack and a melee attack, so you've got a sword and guns, and you can lock on with the right stick, so you can choose which enemy you're attacking at, which time. I am not good at it, and as I said, as Rob described it as Devil May Cry.
This is where you can see the Devil May Cry style combat. It's getting them into the air, getting to the combos, mid-combos, switching out to guns, bringing in the two-handed.
Exactly, it's mixing it, as you say, between the ranged and the melee, and when you get really good with this game, I think you're going to see some amazing combos. You're going to see some really acrobatic kills and people just doing crazy things. I mean, I'm still learning the powers there. I just picked that guy up for a laugh because, you know, just because I could.
Well, one of the other powers you just saw there when you saw the moths on the screen, that's one of your other side powers. You spew moths.
Yeah, that's the confusion sort of power that kind of like takes them over, or I'm not sure exactly how you describe it. Now we're going to see something which is really, really interesting, which I was sort of talking about earlier. This is the workshop, where you take all those parts that you've collected so far in the game and you put them together to form a weapon of some kind. So I'm doing it randomly here. At the moment, that's all you can do, I think, is just randomize your weapon. You just press triangle. It puts all the parts you've got together in different ways. And you can see all the different stats that you've created.
That's great.
I mean, you can guess I'm going to choose this weapon. I'm pretty sure I choose something like that because it just looks so incredibly cool. But yeah, so you're rolling different stats all the time. This is what I'm talking about. I mean, I think that's a bit of a stop sign, maybe a bit of like a chainsaw or something.
Wrench.
Yes, I want that. So that's my two-handed sword that I've made. And that's just from all bits that I've found throughout the world, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
You can do the same with ranged weapons. And again, so it's just using all the bits you found, just hitting triangle, putting them together in different ways or different parts, and you can see the stats on the right, depending on what you're looking for, you know, whether you want to go for high damage, high fire rate,
Oh,
or
look
something
how
like
cool that looks.
And there it is. So now that weapon is on my back. We are going to learn the third power now.
Yep.
This has to be one of the bio powers, I guess. I don't know how to describe this. What's it called? It's called Fungi Mush Mutation, or Fungi Mush, maybe.
Yeah, this is on my Gamescom list.
Okay. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, so with the fungi, you can use it in sort of two different ways. So you can put it down like this and use it to help you traverse the world, find secret, gain access to new places. But then you can also use it in battle as well.
Yeah.
So you can actually use it against enemies.
It's so mad in battle. I got to be honest, I really enjoyed that this power can be used for problem solving. So I noticed that there was a chest over there. I used them to jump over the gap and get to the chest of loot. I think that's my favorite way to use this power. In combat, it's just absolutely mad because the mushrooms just grow up underneath people and just throw them into the air, and if you've got a couple down, they just bounce between them. They're completely helpless, which is pretty fun. This is the last power that I was talking about, the key spark power, which is just basically lightning.
Yeah, and it looks just, I love that it's sort of, I love the zap, and you can sort of have the X-ray when you're zapping them. It's
cool,
really
isn't
cool.
it? I don't know how to describe this art style. There's a number of things. I love that they have like this sort of, you know, comic book style, pow, zap stuff that comes up. So this is actually, this is the first sort of like friendly character we've seen. I think it's the only one we're going to meet in this video. The guy in the wheelchair there. Now, what is his name? He's got a great name. It's something like Out of Date. I think he's called Out of Date. And I'm trying to save him. So this must be one of the tribes you're talking about.
Yes.
You can see I've got to just defeat these tribe members to save him. He's having a bit of a hard time. He's having a bit of a battle of his own. I'm starting to get to grips with the combat here. I'm going to be honest, it started a little bit button mashy, but there's the mushroom power. It knocks him into the air
for a combo. Stunning, lovely.
So
I can't wait to see this game as it progresses, because if this is how the combat is looking pre-alpha, it is going to be delicious.
And as I said, you know, I've started off quite button mashy. When you understand the powers and how you can chain them all together, and you understand the enemies, and maybe you know that you need to mind control that one and stick that one up in the air and take him out of the action, people are just going to do amazing things. So that was basically, now I've made my new friend. I think we're learning basically here about healing the Tree of Life.
Yes, this is where he teaches you how to heal the Tree of Life.
I've got a different mask there. It's the weirdest mask. I don't know why I've made that choice. And so you can see there's conversation tree. This is the RPG element. There is conversation with the NPCs, you know, and then there's the karma system as well. As you said, it's not just be good and you win, be bad and you lose.
No, it's not like that. There's the little things called nanos. They're what you're trying to find. They're the things that can eat away at the rot that is killing the Tree of Life.
Yes.
So you need to find the nanos. And there's different ways of doing it. There are 5 routes to heal, and then each one of those breaks down even further.
Right.
So there could potentially be 10 parts to 1-5.
Got you.
One of the 5.
So we've made it out of the underground. This is our first sort of look at the open world. It's got an amazing skyline. You can see the planet with the rings. is just amazing.
Now, we were told that if you can see it out here, you can walk to it.
Right. So it's in that 4x4 kilometre square. And then, like you said, there's underground as well.
This is amazing.
This, I mean, mark your territory, it said. I don't know what I was expecting, but I guess he is an animal. So he marks his territory in the only way he knows how, with some sort of bioluminescent liquid, shall we say.
You're so polite, Dave.
I know. And I'm pretty sure this was basically the end of the area that I was able to see.
Yes.
Get a very tantalizing look, sadly, at the open world. A very tantalizing look at this terrifying beast.
Cerberus.
Which I didn't fight. And I think we're going to see maybe a little bit of the outro, which is bits of the trailer, possibly. And you can get an idea for the variation of the world. It looks absolutely incredible, and I can't wait to get out there and explore it. I mean, there's so many unanswered questions here. Like, there's these vehicles. I think we might see like a hand vehicle, like a clockwork hand. I think there's going to be some like problem solving with. You see like a sundial in a minute. It's absolutely. I mean, what is that? Is the sundial, which I'm hoping is some sort of problem solving.
Dinker-totter.
I know.
But
there's
yeah,
an airship.
Look at that. I mean, we're really lucky. Like I said, we haven't been able to play it live because it is still so early in development, but everything you've just seen prior to this, as we're playing the trailer now, was Dave playing back at the Access office.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
we were so happy that we were able to show that. Again, it's pre-alpha. The game is so early in development. It's really ambitious.
Yes.